Being fan of this game is like marrying a girl you met at the BDSM orgy only to find out she's clever, funny, and have a habit to kick your testicles when you don't include socio-political conditions in your benevolent world-conquering investment and miss 0.5% possible profit. By far the greatest, or at least for me best RPG Maker hentai game I've ever played, came for the horny and stay for the stock investments. One of the best RPGs I've ever played. It has rich characters, an in-depth economic and political decision system, and a well-written story. Cannot recommend enough. The story is so well written and the game so immersive, I don't think I've gotten off to it even once. I'm sure I could if I really wanted to, but every time there is a sex scene I'm thinking get on with it and give me some more plot. And that's beautiful to me. Come for the porn, stay for the economics and political intrigue. Just a quote from the game to highlight the quality of the writing. But more importantly, threats like this tend to get ignored. Most real powers are focused on politics. A threat that has no political agenda and just wants to destroy the world. It seems so unreal that it isn't taken seriously. And so everyone assumes someone else will take care of it. To know if intentional, but damn, this applies to here and now. Well played Sierra Leaf, well played. The most hyped game for years has just been released. New Warcraft expansion is out. And I'd rather play this piece of free RPG Maker erotica despite skipping past the sex scenes. Story matters. This game deserves every accolade it's been given. Don't judge until past the prologue. Oh, and the sex scenes are well written, just not what hooked me on the game. This is the game everybody wants to make and everyone warns you not to make when you first open RPG Maker.
The Last Sovereign is a pornographic JRPG built in RPG Maker. Developed by Sierra Lee and published on November 22, 2014, it sits at a 95% positive user rating. Now I know what you're thinking. What the absolute fuck? RPG Maker porn with a 95? What the hell is going on? Have the Chinese finally invaded? Well, you begin to understand when you actually play it. The game is the definition of for the plot. A world of absurdity well written, with a brilliant and insane level of convolution that will make you forget you wanted to beat your meat. One of the biggest reasons for this is, shockingly, your choices actually matter in this game. What you do or don't do has real consequences to the story on a level that BioWare wasn't even capable of when Mass Effect was popular. You know, before they ruined the franchise with a third game. If you're the kind of person to follow a walkthrough to get the most optimal route, of which there is none, or plan your choices, then you better be adept with Excel because your spreadsheet will resemble YouTuber analytics. And some of these choices actually change significant portions of the story, altering literal personalities of the characters. You can read reviews all day and still not grasp how this smut is so highly praised, but everyone says the same thing. It's the story. So, what is the story of The Last Sovereign? Starting the game in the prologue introduces us to the hero, chosen of the goddess Ivala in his mission to slay the Incubus King. Pretty standard hero versus demon lord trope, but with NSFW. Given control, we learn his name is Kai. Approaching his companions, we're introduced to Altina, the elven mage, and Simon, the guide. A war veteran of the previous Incubus War, and he's totally not gonna die in the next 10 minutes. With the party of 3 formed, the first zone has some trash mobs and basic loot. Approaching the tower, there's a small fight with a Lamia guard, with a moment that shows us that Kai is kind of a piece of shit. Inside the tower is a bit of soft world building before entering the next area, but before that, the game doesn't tell you this for 40 plus hours. But Kai is swagged out with a shining sword and shining armor. There's only 50 of these swords in the entire game, and collecting them allows you to trade them for endgame gear, so you want to strip Kai before going into the next room. That room being a bedroom where the party is trapped and ambushed by Riala and her minions. It seems Riala and Simon have some history together, which they should, being on opposite sides of the war. It's not a fight you're supposed to win, so don't waste your resources and just take the L. After being beaten, Altina is taken away to be inducted as a new orc breeder. Also, Riala throws shade at the elf, which is funny. The elite succubi then commit snoo snoo, and Kai fails to survive the encounter.
But this story isn't about you.
Simon is at the mercy of Riala. Finding an opening, he escapes out a window and rides a river below to relative safety. Elsewhere in the world, we get to see a glimpse of what other important figures are doing. We also get to see the Incubus King is kind of an unhinged idiot.
Okay. New plan. Get a bunch of sluts, then fill them with horse cum.
Not even his secretary knows how to respond to it.
No, I changed my mind. Baboon cum.
This guy only gets funnier. You've been warned.
In other words, it's Tuesday? Fuck, don't remind me about his calendar fetish.
And then there's this guy. You'll learn to love watching him suffer. With one last hint that Riala has a plan, and we get the title card. Simon limps back to his shithole in Farrowholm, his hovel in a decaying town. He knows his body, something is different, and it's not the rough sex or the river ride he just went through. In his home is a letter from his daughter Robin, and a portrait of his late wife Wendis. But for now, a nap, then head to the church. The priestess already has a new chosen for Simon to train, and Karina of the Ivalan Inquisition is there. The new chosen's name is Tal, and he looks exactly like the last guy, but is much more of an asshole. And before we leave, we get a chance to meet one of my favorite characters in the game. To the left of the barracks is a lone pink succubus in the corner, and I'll let her introduction speak for itself.
Simon, you finally came to visit poor little Cumdump.
I'm just here to ask questions.
Oh, Cumdump isn't very good with questions.
I'll overlook referring to yourself in third person, but surely you have a real name. Can you remember before you came here?
A long time ago, Cumdump had a name. Cumdump's real name is Cumdump.
I really hope you're just fucking with me.
No, that's what Cumdump wants to do, but you keep refusing.
She is the funniest, most unpredictable character, and her charm is entirely in her nature of being far too tarded to be evil. The more you see of her, the more you'll understand why I like her so much. Simon meets Tal at the edge of town, and heads to the training ground, which is the nearby woods. We get some dialogue about a girl named Akka, and there are some merchants for supplies before heading off. Buy some antidotes, there's a lot of poison attacks here. Through the forest and to a small cave to ambush some bandits, they find a magic circle and learn that these are caches of power stored by the Incubus King. He wasn't a total idiot. There's also a succubus here. Her name is Yara, and she's got a sense about Simon. Like a feral clubber, she can smell the same change in him that he can feel. She tests him a bit, but the fight is cut short by the Cash Guardian cock-blocking her. Something happens and Yara explains that Simon is carrying the potential to become another Incubus King, only not an idiot like that other guy. Yara is clearly hostile to the current Incubus King, but Simon isn't quite buying her story.
Bet those bandits wish they'd had these on hand.
I've seen a lot of Chosen die because they refused to use any potions or elixirs. Said they were saving them for the final fight.
Throwing stones now. You know who you are. On the upper cliff, Simon uses rockfall to clear the bandits with a lone survivor who claps back with some explosives. Dreaming of his late wife, he wakes up after dark with Yara. Once again, she's trying to prove her intention on making Simon the new Incubus King. Probing about Wendis, we get some backstory and we see that Yara isn't just a stereotype. She at least seems to care. And once again, she tells Simon that he needs to get laid soon or the power he's absorbed is actually going to kill him. A short distance away, we find that Tal has gone orc mode on Akka. Simon is fed up with this chosen and cuts him down fairly easily. Akka is in a magic-induced heat because of the Incubus King's power, and Yara flatly tells her that Simon is the solution to that problem. Akka is basically under the same weird curse that Simon is, but Simon can actually use the sex magic. Akka can't. The next morning, Akka and Yara are waiting for Simon to wake up, which he does as he feels a presence. It's Riala. She's clearly here for exposition. And the conversation leads to what Riala might be after in turning Simon into an Incubus King, and his dick is only half of the reason. No real answers, but it seems Riala is trying to force change, and Simon, being the apex Chad that he is, and knowing he's the means with which she will try to make this change, is going to be the driver to her plot. Once again returning to Farrowholm, Simon gives a bit of history to Yara and Akka about the town. We're giving control of Yara while Simon has some depression time. Wander around and get a feel for how bad it is. It's really bad. A visit with Cum Dump, and she can already see the change in Simon. And it even seems like Akka is starting to side with the succubi. Reporting back to the priestess of Ivala about the Chosen, she notices Simon's demeanor and tells him to take time off. Turns out his Sag was just an act. Returning to Simon's house, they talk about Akka's condition. Once again, Simon shows his age and experience in how he views her situation. He's done his thinking and seems to be ready to see where Riala's plan is going to go, but once again, we're shown his age and experience in an exposition about power, monetary power. Their next destination is Yahilin, and the objective is to gain, quote, political and economic clout. Relatable. But for the journey, they'll need 3 things. A wagon and supplies, which is simple enough. Simon can get that in Pharaohholm. Next is something of value to trade, much harder but still possible. And third is a healer. Yara suggests bringing Cum Dump, and the lovable weirdo agrees on the spot. Now you can talk to your party members outside of the town, and this is the first time you get a sense of your standing, because there's a relationship mechanic with Simon's companions. The character's title, as it were, is linked to this relational value. You want this number to go up, and every choice you make will change that number. Higher numbers usually result in better outcomes for the story. I told you, everything you do in this game matters, including talking to your companions and raising their relationship scores. And get used to choices that don't make half of your party happy. Not sorry, ladies, I'm in charge. Multi-save and save often. Now's a good time to talk about some game mechanics. You have thematic element types and conditions. Fire, lightning, ice, earth, poison, dark, holy, non-elemental physical damage. A bunch of ones you'll probably know from other JRPGs. But there's also sex magic, obviously, anti-sex magic, very interesting, and heroic element. Almost everything has a weakness and resistance, so actual combat takes planning and will punish you for poor choices, making saves even more important. But they're not without logic, so once you start to get an idea of enemy types, you can reasonably assume what will work and what won't, most of the time. First major stop on the road is a trade camp. Time to find some economic power. Talking to the NPCs points us at 2 possible trade partners, Miguel and Rival. But how is Simon supposed to get his foot in the door with either? In one of the tents, there's a merchant who's interested in our supply of booze, and Yara. Trading him the booze nets us a kind of fiat currency called promissory note, prawn, and they're not stuck together. It's effectively what the USD was before Nixon ended the gold standard. Fucking idiot set us up for rampant inflation and didn't even care. Anyway, prawn is complicated, and be prepared to never have enough for everything you want. Typical money. Once you're ready, enter the meeting hall, which will, of course, be a trap. The touch fuzzy get dizzy doesn't work on Simon's group, so clear out the slavers. The next day, go visit Miguel and you'll be able to secure a merchant for your cause, and Simon even impresses her with his knowledge of the situation. It's so nice having a competent, intelligent main character. They make plans to bring down Rival, who's behind the attempted kidnapping. Simon even pulls out his Incubus King powers for the first time. And once the story is done here, the party continues on to the city of Steinford. But first, there's an emergency, an orc raid on a farm, and an introduction to a very important orc. This orc is self-aware of his nature and is actively trying to fight it, unsuccessfully though he may be.
I may be more than them, but they still control me. I envy you humans, able to choose your own path. Orcs can only do as they have been bred. I shudder to imagine the cruelty of a creator who would give me the capacity to contemplate my actions without the ability to change them.
His name is Orsent. Then finally they arrive at Steinford. There's a lot to do here. Miguel is staying at the Blue Rose, so when you're ready to advance the story, talk to her. But there's side quests to complete to get better standing for Simon's economic power. First of which is Orsent's problem. He wants a willing woman to sate his instincts. That one's fairly simple. Go to the Gilded Lily. It's a high-class inn in the Noble District. There's a maid named Lucy. She's a slave and wants out. She doesn't even need much convincing to accompany an orc. Revisit Orsent and he'll give Simon prawn, and even Lucy seems much happier with this arrangement. Weird, but they're consenting, so who cares? Once again in the Noble District, we go to the bar to meet Hilstara. She's acquainted with Simon as they fought in the war together. She'll ask for Simon's help with the mine northwest of the city, so go help her. She'll join the party as a tank, so make use of her because things in the mine hit hard. You'll reach a gate that you need a mage to get through though, and that just so happens to be the next quest. Back at the Blue Lily, Simon and Miguel talk business. Simon needs 50k prawn and something rare to secure his economic power for now. Returning to his room next door, they sleep and Simon will leave in the morning before they get a visitor. It's his adopted daughter, Robin. She heard he was in town and came to see him. Robin is a student at the Thaumaturgical Academy, a short distance west of Steinford. The girls talk, then Simon returns. Seems he went to find her at the academy. The two have a moment, then a private talk about Simon's current state. Robin returns to the academy, and that's our next side quests. But before we head out, talk to Yara about the tunnel in the slums. Find Robin at the school, and this will result in 2 quests regarding her education. One of them makes another quest much later, much easier, so get them done now. These quests are students summoning demons at night, and Robin needs help with her potion test. We need money for Robin's test, but now that she's in the party, we've got a strong mage to make getting money easier. So detour to the cave in the slums and end up in the ruined tower that's filled with succubi, and they're not hostile. Yay! This is the first place where you can outfit your party's succubi, so buy what you need. Also, now that Daughter is in the party, we can finish the main quest. There's only one more thing to do before advancing the story. Head to the Noble District and towards the Cathedral. Karina is here, and the church seems to be having sect infighting, which leads to Karina asking for Simon's help with a slaver problem within the city. If you've been poking around, then you know where you need to go to complete this side quest. Also, this place has a lot of lootables all over, so take all you can. You can also get a bit more prawn if you pimp out Cum Dump, but that makes her sad. Don't make the huggy bimbo sad. So with all the quests done and Miguel's requirement met, talk to her again and set off for Yahilin. Miguel heads for Merchant's Pass, and Simon's party heads for Devil's Pass. Why the difference? Because in Devil's Pass there's another cache of power to raid. Halfway through we run into Hillstar's party again. They're blocked by a magic wall thing that they can't figure out. Seems some of the guys caught wind of the treasure in the cave, but didn't tell Hillstara beforehand. We can try to dispel the barrier with Robin, but we'll fail. Then Cum Dump pulls a trick. She's smarter than she appears. She's just not all there when she talks. Arrest in the tent, and we find the other group has just left us behind to enter the old Incubus King's stronghold. Inside are some undead and Hilsara, who's been enslaved by one of the colors found in a chest. She's been ordered to stall Simon, so you have to fight her before he can overpower the caller with his own incubus powers. Luckily, the idiots didn't know what they were looking for, so the power cache is untouched, ready for Simon to pilfer. Moving forward with Hilstara again, we're going to slay Istvan and her previous party for their betrayal, only to be dropped into a pit. Well, at least it's an opportunity to deal with the Hilstara problem. And deal with it Simon does, making her a permanent member of the team. The second half of the dungeon and an actual fight against an ogre is at the end, but before that there's something very important to do, an absurdly hard mini-dungeon. It's designed to hate you, and you can't leave until it's complete, so make a save before entering or enjoy being soft-locked in a map you're too unprepared to escape. But why do this now? Because there's some fuckery built into the game. In a diabolically clever move, the developer has programmed in bad outcomes for delayed decisions or over-preparedness. The next time you have access to this dungeon is in Chapter 2, but if you wait until then, if you have too much money on you or are too high of a level, a key item from the end of the dungeon just does not drop. So your only real option is to do this now and to suffer the cock and ball torture. Here's some useful tips to help you make this hell pit a little bit more bearable. Not easier, just more likely you'll make it out. See this guy? It can party blind and silence you, so silence it first. See this guy? It does party nukes and blind, but can't do anything when you silence it, so hit that too. Simon should be able to outrun it. See this guy? It's only weak to lightning, so Robin can blast it quickly. And the last one is this guy. It's got party-wide poison, but it's easier to deal with since 3 of Simon's party have Condi Cleanse. Now what do you get for your trouble? Overpowered armor. The loot for this dungeon is strong armor for your succubi. It's going on cum and it's staying there. And a lust plate, armor that only Simon and one other character can use, and you won't be seeing that character for a very, very long time. Plus that key item I mentioned. Finally making it to Ari Yhilinia, the royal capital of Yhilin. Simon is stopped by one of Miguel's men. She needs to talk to him. Apparently someone has put a bounty on everyone in our party who looks like us. Convoluted, but Istvan wants Simon and the girls dead. So that's something that needs to be sorted out first and foremost. There's a bit of an investigation process to it, and during it we're introduced to my other favorite character. Once again, I'll let her introduction speak for itself.
Simon, it's been years.
Hello, Sarai.
Why should I deign to speak with you?
I have spent a great deal of time polishing the altar.
Please leave us. This heathen requires personal guidance.
Personal guidance. Only a priestess could deliver a line like that so innocently.
What, you think I'm going to try and suck the sin out of his cock?
Wait, what?
Simon, what the hell are you bringing motherfucking succubi here?
Nice to see you too, Sarai.
Hell yeah, you old bastard. Been a long fucking time.
Ha, this is rich. You're telling me one of the high priestesses is just pretending to believe in that simpering prude goddess.
Take that back, you fucking cunt.
The hell?
Sarai is one of the most devout believers I know. Just an unusual one.
Fuck yeah, I'm devout as balls.
Doesn't Ivala frown on profanity?
The church cares about profanity. Ivala gives 0 fucks.
What school of thought is that?
Oh, that'd be the not having your head up your ass school. I refuse to believe Ivala cares which words we use when the world is this fucked up. She has bigger concerns.
See? Great character. This game has a few characters that throw out the most unexpected shit, and it's the most beautifully jarring experience. But back to the Istvan problem. Seems the political infighting is really bad right now. Widow Queen Janine is being opposed by the nobles for instituting meritocracy instead of nepotism. The merchants aren't happy with the current regulations, and there's some zealots who want to turn the country into a holy nation. A real shit show. There's also a specific mage in the city that Sarai says is really dangerous, which makes Istvan and the slave callers all that more concerning. In the court district, we run into the dangerous mage. She makes simulacrum of the guards, chasing her down to the outskirts, and we learn some things. She's a slave mage, so she's bound by contract to her orders, but only her orders, which is why she's talking to Simon right now, a real malicious rules lawyer type. Make whatever prep you need, then head to the new dungeon to advance the plot and save the queen, ending with a confrontation with the slave mage Trin. She strikes a deal for Simon to be her new owner, but doesn't get the deal she wanted. Either way, Trin belongs to Simon now, and she's going to be very useful. Trin is an absolute bitch, and Simon knows how she fucks with people and how to fuck with her, literally and psychologically, and Trin likes it, literally and psychologically. After the coup cleanup, Janine needs to debrief with Simon. The Red Lights and Istvan have already fled Yhilin, so there is no helping that at the moment, and their conspirator Reval is too well guarded to do anything about right now. She's done a bit of investigating on Simon, and their talk brings some level of trust and closure for the time being about his intentions. Janine also levels with Simon about her own extremely fragile position. Riala even joins in on this conversation. This segues into the next semi-open world section, and there's a lot of important things that need doing that will affect the story in drastic ways. Talk to the girls and make sure to visit Sarai and Miguel each. Sarai has reservations about Simon, which is understandable. She calls his new power antithetical, so of course she's going to be cautious, even with a long-standing brother-in-arms. Miguel has been turning tricks with your prawn, and like a good merchant, you get your investment back plus more. She also asks Simon's group to play bodyguard for her meeting with Reval, which of course he agrees to. And she gives him a ledger, which begins one of the biggest portions of the game that will affect the entire story moving forward: investments. Prawn isn't just a meme. The game actually has more investment opportunities than you actually get access to. If you cheat in more money, then you should get the dev warning that you are breaking the story by buying things that you shouldn't be able to. And realistically, it's better if you don't do that. If you're using a walkthrough, you get a list of every investment opportunity and its results. Otherwise, talk to everyone, weigh your options carefully, and try to make the best use of your prawn. Tip for this part: invest in the Yihilini mine processing after you deal with Reval. 50% of the investment cost, with a return between 2.6 thousand and 5,000%. Just not all at once, it's divided up to keep on stonk maxing. So on to the Revel problem. First, go to the court district and talk to the woman looking for her family, side quest for the event. And the meeting was, unsurprisingly, a trap, so kill everything that moves and take anything that isn't nailed down. Following the failed meeting, Miguel goes missing, and the merchants are going nuts. Simon needs a nap, but Riella gets to him first. She knows where Miguel is, and it seems like she's not there willingly. We need help from the church to get past the wards and find Miguel, and returning to the church, we meet up with Karina again. She world builds on the Valen church and the church leaders who are visiting. With just a quick visit and threat from Sarai, Simon's crew can infiltrate the building and find Miguel. So back when I mentioned anti-sex magic, this is why it's interesting. The unpeople are what happen when sexuality are ripped from body, mind, and soul, living zombies in constant agony. And for most of the story, this aspect only gets worse and worse. Once we find Miguel, we get an explanation of what happened. And yeah, the bitch really caused a problem for a kind of petty reason, but she promised to fix it and Simon wants to see it done. Luckily, we don't have to sneak our way out, we can just fight whatever we want. And while the unpeople don't drop any money, they do drop a lot of experience points. After the rescue op, Miguel does as much as she can to clean up her mess before being formally inducted into Simon's group. Non-combat role, but every king needs an accountant. Even a depressed Blueberry knows this. He'd probably be less depressed if he got laid by his elf wife, or a Tau woman, since they like human men. Back to free roaming, and you get a second chance to invest. Now you can grab the mine processing for cheap, and if you found the woman's figurines, you can turn that in for a bit of extra cash. Talk to Janine to continue the story and start Simon's meeting with her, Rialla, and Sarai. This is one of those scenes that really hits different and makes you feel like this isn't just a porn game.
So, do you have a plan for us?
Yes, I believe we...
How does it end? As much respect as I have for you, Simon, you have a significant weakness. You don't know what you want. If you were omnipotent, what life would you choose for yourself?
The question is meaningless. I'm not omnipotent, and obviously I never will be. The relevant question is what I want for the life and world I have and what I can do to attain it.
That's just the problem. You define your limits by what exists, always reacting instead of acting. Until you know exactly what you want, you won't truly be able to move forward.
She's right. Looking at your history, I'm surprised you haven't done more.
Right, it's not that he can't. He certainly helped me.
When I try to do anything on my own, people die. Every effort I've made to change the world has ended in failure.
That's not true. After the war, before we had any chosen, you threw the Incubus King out of Zorantia.
At what cost?
Simon, no.
Wendis died because of me, and thousands upon thousands more experienced my pain to buy that victory.
Simon, no one could have known the crypt would. You can't blame yourself.
I can. But you're right. I'm too cautious. I always have been, even before Wendis. Wendis always had to push me. You'll have to put up with me. I'm an old man. I can't change overnight.
I don't think being too cautious is a bad thing. There are too many zealots in the world. I'd rather a cautious person take the lead. Others can keep you from stagnating. And we do need to discuss this. Because as much as I've enjoyed talking to Rialla, I don't think I want the world she intends to create.
And with all due respect, I don't think your plans are radical enough.
Well, we're not taking over the entire fucking world, are we? Whatever we do together, it's going to start small. We don't have to agree on every detail, just the areas where we'll cooperate, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't solve the problem Rialla brought up.
Thing is, I think the three of us are pretty clear on what kind of world we want. The only question is how Simon fits into our plans. Each of us can give you an endgame for all this, and you can choose the best one. Sound good?
It would be helpful to hear your thoughts, yes.
Well, I have a pretty clear advantage on this. Here's my suggestion. Embrace being Incubus King, but don't make a sex empire. You'd be sole ruler of a kingdom built according to your exact wishes. Justice, stability, coexistence. Your kingdom can embody the values you consider most important. And of course, you'd be surrounded by beautiful, intelligent, and powerful women ready to fuck you at a moment's notice. Well, you two? Can you top that?
Oh, sure. Let's just jump straight to the fucking harems. Look, Simon, I know I can't compete when it comes to hedonic pleasures, but that's not your only choice. Imagine a world completely free of the curse of corruption. A world where no one's life is destroyed by any incubus king. I don't know if Evala really gives a shit about the fragment in your soul. Maybe it could be cleansed, or maybe you can live with it. But if not, imagine sacrificing yourself in order to make the world finally free of the shadow that took everything from you.
If you seriously choose Saray's option, my palaces filled with sluts will be very insulted.
I'm sure it's just a coincidence that these endgames involve me fulfilling all your goals.
Well, Ganeen, what do you have to offer?
Nothing. I don't have any grand vision. I want to take the best choices available to try and do the most good for the most people. That's all I have.
If I could spruce up self-sacrifice, surely you can do better than that.
I'm disappointed you didn't even try to play along.
This isn't about what we get out of it.
Speak for yourself. But that's not the point. It's about having a real destination to offer, instead of simply reacting to every moral choice that comes our way.
Fine. Simon, picture this. Our enemies die behind the scenes. The war ends in a boring treaty. Humans and succubi live in balance with one another. No one ever learns of your involvement. You keep your current power and simply choose not to use it. You retire to a quiet estate with several beloved partners and live the rest of your lives together in peace. Unpraised, unmourned, forgotten.
Fuck, how does she know Simon so well already?
We shouldn't have gotten her involved.
Don't go talking like we're allied just because she's the greater threat.
I'll take it all under consideration.
I'm sensing a but there.
We won't be making any of these decisions now. There's a great deal of work to do. I've been thinking about the main threats we'd face in any attempt to make a difference. When the Incubus King came to Arklent, he had unrivaled power. But that very power was what aligned everyone against him and ensured that he couldn't win. The end of the war made everyone complacent. We accept all the suffering in the status quo. Thus inertia has built up, rendering change impossible. Any nation that attempts to defeat the Incubus King makes itself vulnerable to others. Anyone who tries to reform corrupt nations is torn from power. Any attempt to imagine peaceful coexistence between humans and succubi is forgotten. My plan is to cut through all of that.
If only someone had thought of solving the fucking problem before.
Don't pass judgment until you've heard the plan itself. I'll use my power to build an army. We'll pretend to invade Yilin and establish a rival Incubus King. I'd like to avoid being personally at the head of the army, but I don't know if that's possible.
There are options. Go on.
I'm not willing to sacrifice my kingdom just to break the status quo.
I don't plan to sacrifice it. We'll save it, just in the most cynical way possible. I don't plan for many lives to be lost in the invasion, but regretfully they will include your worst enemies. Compared to a dictator, your people would be happy to have you as their leader.
I don't know about that, but the dictator could make all the unpopular changes I can't and take the blame.
Exactly.
This is why I chose you, Simon.
Loving this more every second.
The current Incubus King won't accept a rival, but that war will persuade other ancients to attack both. If we manipulate politics between nations and churches, I think we can ensure that everything changes for the better. And when he's no longer needed, our false Incubus King can die.
There are a lot of things that could go wrong. Such a war would have immense casualties.
I know. I hope we can keep the fighting inside the already destroyed regions to minimize the destruction, but I won't deny there will be a cost.
If you're talking about that, does that mean you've already accepted the idea?
What do you think, Sarai?
Fucking love it. I have your back when it comes to the Church of Evala.
I think this has real potential, but there are a lot of details to discuss.
So that's Operation Doomed King.
competent main characters, morally ambiguous subterfuge. If this doesn't get you excited to see where the story's going, I don't know what will. Because this is the hook that got me into the rest of the game.